Start the record.
Give it a 5.
Hello and welcome to. That's the wrong side. This week in games.
This week. No.
Bonus E3 predictions discussion special. Right. This is the one that I've been dreading because I have a lot to say. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of feelings. Shit's about to go down. So this doesn't get ranty and mental, we're still going to do it in sections. We will start with Nintendo. We will move to Microsoft. We will move to Sony. I know they still haven't announced anything, but nonetheless, we will move to Sony. Then we will move the floor to third party. And that's where things get really mental.
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo. The rumor is the new Switch Pro is getting announced before E3. Now, technically, E3 doesn't start till next week. If you want to get super technical about it, it's next week. Like, the 15th is when the Nintendo conference presser, whatever you want to call it, is on. The Summer Games Fest stuff and all of that stuff beforehand, technically, isn't E3. So they've got another week to announce this thing. Now, I think that it's true. I think we get the announcement of the Switch before E3 so that all of the other companies that are releasing and announcing games and stuff don't accidentally slip up in a turn of phrase or wording or like showing a game that we clearly can see just isn't possible on the Switch, yet it's stating that it's for Switch. Like, you can't advertise a game for a platform that isn't out, and when we look at it and go, oh, well, I'm going to pre-order that for my Nintendo Switch, to then have it pulled from under you and be like, no, it's actually for the Switch Pro, but we had to say that it was for the Switch because the Switch hadn't been, like, no. So I think it's going to happen. Supposedly $399. And I think I'm going to buy one. And I'm not the Nintendo guy. I'm just not. Like, I'm going to put this out there now. I am not the Nintendo guy. Appreciate Nintendo. Appreciate everything Nintendo do for the industry. The games, gaming, and everything. They just don't make games for me. Like, I'm not interested in that style of thing. I like the Hollywood blockbuster, AAA, fully fledged, story driven. That's me. That's my forte. And as much as I can tell you now that Breath of the Wild 2 is a 10 out of 10 game, just like Breath of the Wild 1, it just isn't for me, unfortunately. Even though I do play games like that now, it's just like, I don't know, there's something about them that's just not for me. I can't put my finger on it. I think it's the lack of voice acting. And it's a lot of reading, but even then, I play Yakuza games, and that's a lot of reading. So I don't know. I can't nail it down. But I think with Nintendo, we're getting the Switch Pro. I think predominantly focused around Breath of the Wild 2. I think we'll see big update for Animal Crossing. And I think we'll see all of the names have just disappeared out of my head. Samus. Metroid. I think we'll see Metroid 4. We'll get to see not just a trailer, I think we see gameplay. And I think at the end of that gameplay, takes a helmet off, swishes her hair, turns to the camera, says, out now. I mean, that's not going to happen, but how amazing would that be?
Well, I think I think new Switch, yeah. I'm undecided personally whether they'll call it the Pro or they'll just go like the 3DS route and it's just called the new Switch. But who knows? But yeah, I think Breath
I
of the
think they might
Wild
call it a
2,
Plus, you know. The Switch Plus.
maybe.
They do that a lot, don't they?
They have like XL versions of their other consoles as well, like the handheld ones.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, absolutely, and I think it is going to be exclusive to that new machine.
Ooh, you heard it here first, guys.
Mhm. I think we might hear a little bit from everybody's favorite Italian plumber.
Yes.
Mhm.
If there's a new machine, there's got to be some form of new Mario.
Oh yeah, there will be. I think the Metroid thing, yeah, a Metroid game. I'm not sure what kind of vein it might be, but a Metroid. And
I can't remember the name of that other one that I thought they were going to announce. Well, I mean, they've announced
Pikmin?
it, but Pikmin. There's definitely going to be something from that Pikmin, even if it's just a CG style trailer. But I think we'll see and have the name revealed. Pikmin's one of those games that I don't know why I see it, and I feel an incessant need to play it every time without fail. Like I'm fully prepared to buy a Switch just to play this Pikmin when it comes out. I also think that there'll be some sort of exclusivity, not fully, but something with what's it called? Pokemon Legends. I think Pokemon Legends will have some sort of upgrade, be it like visual or something to that effect, but there'll be something that it can do on the new Switch that it can't do on the previous Switch, and they will have to announce that. Like the footage that we've shown of Legend so far has been on the regular Switch. This is what it actually looks like when you get a Switch Pro. I think something like that will end up happening for a couple of the games. Not all of them, but a couple of them. What else do I think Nintendo's? Oh, I think this might be the year that we get a hint. Maybe it's a tease. Something like is now in development type thing, like Star Fox. I think they're going to do something along the lines of, you see, is it Fox McCloud?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know that well because I'm not a Nintendo guy, but I think you see Fox McCloud and that you just get a quick glimpse of him, and then it's just like text on the screen, Star Fox now in development.
I think they're also going to do a little Smash Bros. Section where they just announce a bunch more extra characters that are being thrown in.
There's only two more. I looked into this the other day. They've only got two more characters to announce, and I think that it's going to be Banjo, not Banjo, Crash Bandicoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how mint would it be if it was Ratchet? Ratchet's got a game coming out. He's got a resurgence at the minute. If Nintendo are one of those companies that like no one cares about striking a deal with them because it gets your characters out there, could you imagine it? A Ratchet in Smash Brothers. He's got his wrench. He's got his blaster. Oh,
yeah,
it just fits.
I just don't see it happening.
It just fits. Ratchet and Crash, I think, are going to be the two characters, and then the alternate costumes are going to be Coco and Clank. That's my prediction. Richard's like, not on my watch. Are there any other games that you can think of them? You can think of them announcing, bringing anything that deserves a sequel or a remake or? Because you're quite deeply ingrained in. I mean, it's still technically the Legend of Zelda birthday this year, isn't it? Anniversary. I'm sure it's Zelda anniversary this year. It's like the year of Link or something.
Mm.
They need to do something in regards to Link, I think, other than Breath of the Wild 2.
Personally, I would like to see a Twilight Princess re-release, but that would be the third time at this point, because it had GameCube, Wii U.
They're doing Skyward Sword, aren't they?
Yeah, they are doing a Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword didn't have the best. It was Wii motion control, early Wii motion control.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was
They've
not
rejigged
great.
They've rejigged it all, so you can do it all on control pad now.
Yeah,
I think,
which is good.
You might
brings
get.
that game
What was
forward.
the other one? Twilight Princess, and there was another one. What was after Twilight Princess?
No, Skyward Sword. It was
Yeah, exactly.
It was the cartoony one, wasn't it? In the water. Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. I think they are going to get bundled together with an up-res to like full 720 1080 resolution and put out as a bundle. That's what I'm thinking for them.
Wind Waker's already on Wii U. It got re-released, HD re-release.
Yeah, and that's the version that's going to go in the bundle with the other one for Switch.
Yeah.
But yes, that's my like I say, I'm not that deeply ingrained in the Nintendo lore, so I don't really know too much. But from the things that I do know, from the things that I know people want, I think that's, from my point of view, I think that's the most reasonable things you could be expecting. Is, I mean, the Fox McCloud thing's a pie in the sky thing, but I do think that it's time to see a teaser trailer or something for Metroid. We're guaranteed the big thing that they're talking about this year is Breath of the Wild 2. There might be a surprise announcement of a Mario if there's a new machine. If there's no new machine gets announced, then I don't even see a Mario getting talked about. Unless it's something like Mario and Olympics or Mario and something, or like a side Mario game, not a mainline Mario. But yeah, it should be good. It should be fun. I still look forward to watching Nintendo to see what they're doing. Right, Richard. Right, this is the big one. This is the big boy now. Microsoft. Oh, Microsoft, you sexy sons of bitches. There's a lot to talk about here. Good God, there's a lot to talk about. Right, so, what we know, categorically, is Microsoft have 20-something studios. And out of them 20-something studios, we know that they've got Playground working on Fable. We know they've got Turn 10 working on Forza. We know they've got 343 working on Halo. They've got The Initiative working on Perfect Dark. They've got Obsidian working on Avowed. Like, we're starting to run out of friggin' studios here. I personally think this E3 is going to be a 60-40. It's a joint venture, from what I can gather, 90 minutes long. It's going to be 60% Microsoft, 40% Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
That's my prediction. And I think they're going to come at us hard. I think we might see a trailer for Fable. But I think it's unlikely. Because that game is still way early, like. And the trailer that they showed off announcing that the game was getting made, which I can't remember when that was. I think that was last E3. Or last, this time of year, last year. And it was CG. It was 100% CG. There was no, like... So I don't know how close they are or how any of this is going to work out. But we might see a Fable. I think we probably will see a little bit more Avowed. which I'm excited to see because it looks brilliant. I think we'll see quite a good look at Forza. Actually, come to think of it, Forza was supposed to be last year. We might get an Horizon game, you know. We might get an Horizon game announced. We'll see. I don't know what the Forza situation is going to be, but we'll see something to do with cars and Forza. I think we get, much like Breath of the Wild is Nintendo's big centerpiece and everything else is sprinkled around it, I think Halo is Microsoft's big centerpiece. I think this time they've had an extra year since they showed us the game. Now is the time to be going, right, like it or lump it, this is Halo, and this is what you're getting. And give us a good look at Halo. Give us a more in-depth look at Halo, because what they showed was interesting, but not informative. That's the problem, I think. They showed this open area, they showed the vastness of the thing, they showed a grapple hook, they showed the bad guy in the ship, boom, done. No. Not always is this a good thing, but I think for Halo it is. I want the 5-minute, 10-minute video of, hi guys, my name is such and such, and I'm the lead gameplay designer on Halo. And this is the battle rifle. And we're going to walk down here and we're going to show you how, when we walk across here, the grass moves under your feet. And this does this. And we've designed the lighting in such a way, and you can move the sun and show you that, you know, at different times of the day, the world looks completely different. So at sometimes, things look flat and dull. But when the sun's right above you, things are vibrant, bright, and beautiful. At night, there's a nice glow. There's this. Like, I want an in-depth talk through of what is going on and why these decisions were made. Tell me what's going on and why you've done this. Explain to me, because not everybody sits watching the Halo Waypoint monthly, weekly videos that they put out. Some people get to see it at E3, and that's where they get informed of this is what's happening. So break it down and show me, oh yeah, there's wildlife, but the wildlife doesn't really interact with you. It's just there to make the world feel lived in, more vibrant. And do that sort of thing. And that's what I'm expecting. And that's not the only time that that's going to happen in Microsoft conference. That's one of 2 times it's going to happen. I expect to see at least 2 new games that we don't know about. Just from Microsoft. Not Bethesda side, the Microsoft side. I also feel that Rare will finally tell us what the fuck Everwild is. And actually explain what the hell they've been making. Because it looks amazing. Just nobody seems to know what it is. So I think that'll happen. And then the final 40% is going to be really split into 2. Half of the final 40% is going to be another informational video explaining what's going on, the decisions that were made, why, how, and all of the rest of it for Starfield, which will get a date for early 2022. I also think that we'll get a quick turnaround sort of teasery show-off of the next Wolfenstein to be released the end of this year on everything, not just Xbox. And I think that we get some sort, because if I'm not mistaken, id have 2 teams, don't they? Id have the team that were doing Rage, and they have the team that were doing Doom.
Mm-hmm.
The team that do Rage, I think, from id, will have something to show. I have a feeling it might be a new IP. I don't think it'll be Rage 3. I think it'll be something new. But I'm not 100% sure. And then all of that clumped together, I think, is quite an exciting little look at what Microsoft's got. Now, as long as Microsoft show us gameplay, actual running on, even if it's all Series X, and unfortunately some people have to get lesser quality, I don't care. But show us something real. Don't show us a rendered target render. Don't show us this is what it could look like if you have like fucking 7 3090s in your computer and 12 processors. Like, no. Give me real running on a machine situations. So that when I get to see it in real time, I'm like, this looks exactly like they showed me. I am so happy with this. Like, just be transparent. But I just want it to be a bombastic explosion of gaming ecstasy. Like, I just want more than anything, for my sanity and for gamers in general, I just want Microsoft to bring their A game and be like, this is why you buy an Xbox, this is why you pay for Game Pass, and this is why you play our games. Because bang, 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 they're amazing. Every one of them. And that way, it gives Sony a reason to raise their game. Because I think the way that the landscape is in gaming right now is Nintendo go and do their own thing, and no one really affects Nintendo, because they're their own bubble. And PlayStation run away doing their thing, and Microsoft play catch up. But I think if Microsoft have the goods, we'll see Hellblade 2. We will see gameplay of Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 was shown off when the console got announced.
Mm-hmm.
We will see Hellblade 2 this E3 as well, which is another big, epic-looking game due to come out. But yes, I think if they bring their A game and show off a lot of what I've just been talking about there, with a couple of nice surprises in the mix, and I don't even know what I want the surprises to be quite honest with you. I really hope one of the surprises is not another Gears. If they show me a Gears 6 logo, I'm just going to roll my eyes into the back of my head and be like, for fuck's sake, seriously. Give it time. Gears is not Call of Duty. It doesn't need to be churned out every other year. And I do feel right now that Gears we need space. Me and Gears have had an argument, right? And at this point in time, I just want some space. Just come back later on when I've had time to cool down and we'll be good. But right now, the Gears is just not doing anything for me. And they really are grinding the name into the ground, and I don't like it. Just give it a little bit. I'll tell you what I'd love to see. But I don't think anyone in Microsoft's portfolio would be ballsy enough to pick the game up and run with it. And they could, because they own Rare. Love to see a modern-day take on Conker. The amount of cultural shit that's gone down that they could use to add comedy and stuff to the game, I think Conker could be brilliant. Or even, I mean, who owns Banjo? Do Rare own
Rare.
Banjo? Or do Nintendo own Banjo?
It's Rareware.
Banjo wouldn't be a bad game to... I think that's what's missing. On the Xbox side of things, I think that's what's missing. The Xbox is looked at as the first-person shooter console, because it's where most of them fall. And most of Microsoft's big games are shooters. Third or first-person shooters, but shooters nonetheless. I think Microsoft they don't have the Nintendo sort of Ratchet-style family character. Not anymore. I can't think of one. And I know Conker's not that. Conker's the opposite of that, in fact. But to look at is that. But Banjo could be that.
I mean, they tried with Banjo once and failed. Nuts and bolts. I mean, I know for a fact that the team at Rare were like, let's make Banjo 3. They were making Banjo 3 for a little while, because it's the only way that the map stuff makes sense. And then after a while, they just got told, no, put cars in it with crafting and stuff. Do it. So that's what they did.
Don't know, what do you think? What do you think of Microsoft? an E3? What do you think's going to happen?
I think they're going to spend half their time talking about Games Pass and streaming services.
I mean, yes, that's obviously going to happen. But they don't. The thing with Games Pass now is they don't need to talk about Games Pass the way that they used to, because Games Pass sells itself at this point. But what you will get is Halo Infinite available day one on Game Pass. Like, that's
Yeah, I hope they do better than the trailers that have that like black screen at the beginning with the Xbox logo with a guy who goes world premiere.
no,
exclusive.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
I don't like that at all, because I thought it was hilarious the last time they did that when they were like exclusive, and I was like, no, that game's on PC, and not even
but they don't count PC. Neither do PlayStation. When they say exclusive, they basically mean console exclusive.
Oh, I think that's
misinformation,
dubious.
But yes. Anything else? Any other games that you think might get announced?
Cause any legal issue, but I'd say it's dubious at best. I think they might have. I hope that they don't talk about Gears, but I think they are going to talk about it. Also, I don't like that they changed the name to Gears. Yes, everybody called it, but it's Gears of War. Please, just give us the full title.
I think it was to differentiate it from when God of War came out. Because when God of War on PlayStation 4 came out, both of them abbreviated to GOW. So in changing it to Gears, it's just Gears and God of War.
Yeah, but then why have it as Gears 5? Why not just be Gears?
True.
Because then when you look at it technically, you're like, oh, what was the previous game to this one? There is no Gears 4 technically. There's a Gears of War 4. I mean, you can pull that one if you want. But yeah, I think we'll get a little bit of. I think we'll get a trickle information like across the board. But I think the primary of it is going to be filled up by them throwing us trailers for things, Forza, more Halo information. I think they're definitely going to put a spotlight on Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have like a good chunk of a segment on it. Yeah, Hellblade as well, like you said. Gameplay definitely. Yeah, it's.
Are there any franchises for Xbox that you think should come back, or that deserve to come back?
I don't know. They did the announcement for Fable, and that was pretty much the only one that really I would think.
Do you think that it's been long enough that we might get to see something more from Fable? Maybe it's an in-engine sort of world trailer or something like that, where we can actually see what the game looks like.
Yeah, we might see some. We might see some in-engine stuff, but I think it will be early in-engine stuff. Very, very early in-engine stuff. Do
you think we'll be getting in any Sierra Cosworths and driving about in the new Fable? I mean, it's made by the Forza Horizon team, so
just because they make
the cars in it would be really good.
Maybe, right? We might finally get horses and carriages, and there will be very, very good horses and carriages.
Well, the carriages will be great, but I've never seen them do quadrupeds before. I don't know how good they are at quadrupeds.
You get the animation right.
Well, that's the thing, though, with the pandemic, they won't have been able to motion capture a horse. Although saying that, you could do that outside.
Yeah, go traditional. You don't need to mocap everything. Go traditional. Actually get some guy to build a skeleton.
So, what do you feel this new Fable is?
I feel like it is going to be high fantasy, like the original.
No. In terms of, do you feel it's Fable 4 continuation, or
No,
do you feel
absolutely not.
it's going to be this is the new Fable, and we are just taking elements of what the originals were and doing our own thing?
Yes, exactly that. I think it will be. I don't think it's going to overwrite the originals. I think it will be just literally set in the Fable universe. I think it will be doing its own thing, taking elements from it, the comedy, the humor, the world, things like that. I don't think it's going to step on the toes of anything that's come before it. And it's going to be the start of its own new, fresh thing.
Which I'm quite excited by that, because that means, and Fable's so synonymously loved, that means there's potential that this is going to be a franchise, and we're going to get multiples of these, which is a good thing, I think, for Microsoft. Do you think... Right, the best way to word this. So, I would call the character style in the original Fable caricature. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
the character models and stuff, they're very caricature character models.
Yeah, they have exaggerated features.
Do you think that the new game is going to follow that suit? Or do you think that it is going to go more traditional, sort of, still in that art style, like the sort of cel-shaded-y type cartoony looking art style? But do you think they're going to go for more realistic looking characters and features?
No, I think they're still going to continue with a caricature, exaggerated style.
Interesting, because I think they're going to go realistic. And I have slight evidence to back that up, because all of the artwork for the game, and there's a lot of artwork that you can go and look at for this Fable game, all of the artwork is realistic looking people in like flouncy dresses and almost pirate-like attire. I don't know what I'd prefer.
It's what makes the comedy work.
That's the thing. I think the comedy in that game is over the top if you give it realistic looking characters. Where the comedy works when the cartoony looking characters, it's a cartoony comedy that works because it's cartoony characters.
You're okay with kicking a exaggerated chicken, but if the chicken looks real, I would not want to kick that chicken.
No, because, yeah, I get that. Completely get that. How deep do you think they're going to start the franchise? And by that, what I mean is Fable 1, 2, and 3 got deeper and deeper with its systems. So, like, obviously the first game introduced the systems that it had, and then I think the second game introduced slightly deeper systems and stuff like that, and then the third game introduced, like, having a pet, an emotional connection to an animal that comes with you, and all of that malarkey. Like, do you think they're going to take the broad spectrum of all of it and use that as the starting point? Or do you think they're going to strip back and keep some stuff away for future games? Like, do you think we won't have a companion or an animal that comes with us, and they'll save that for like a second game or a third game? Or do you think they just go balls to the wall and give us everything?
Well, it was 2 that had the dog first introduced, and then they continued that in 3. 3 became shallower in the morality system. They were actually scaled back from that. 2 had the most advanced morality system with purity and corruption, as well as good and evil. 3 just went into a basic one, and it didn't even have a very good one, to be perfectly honest. 3 scaled back on that aspect of the whole situation massively. I would say, if there is a dog, good. If there isn't a dog, no. Then that's fine. That's okay. I would hope that the morality system would be back in full force. If I do a lot of good things, I want to look angelic. You know, give me the halo, give me the wings. If I do a lot of bad stuff, give me the demon horns. I'm all throw back in the purity and corruption thing as well, because that was an interesting thing as well. You know, but ease what causes purity and corruption, because eating 20 pies because I was low on health and having a full corruption bar was a bit lame.
I mean, I'm not corrupt because I'm eating 20 pies.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'm the most corrupt fucker on the planet.
But yeah, I would expect. This is what I would expect: morality system, good, evil. The purity corruption system, that would be a bonus. Dog, bonus. Property. I should be able to buy everything in all of the towns, rent them out, own the shops, the works, because that has been a staple of the last two. It became like prominent features. So I would expect to be able to do the property stuff.
I would expect the property stuff, but with the property stuff, I feel like it needs to be done correctly.
Mhm.
I don't want them to make it easy. I want it to be a slog. I want it so that it takes a big commitment to buy a property, to buy a house. I don't want frivolous money.
And give an incentive for the player to actually have their own house, because in Fable 2,
as like a
I
base
bought
of
them all.
operations.
Yeah. So like put it so like maybe you can put trophies and stuff inside of your house. You upgrade the furniture. Maybe that attracts mercenaries or something, or gives you more renown, and the renown unlocks. Maybe it's a currency that you can
even
spend.
if it's a case of like you've in your office of your house, you've got a map, and you can use that map. Because I don't want fast travel in the game. In terms of hitting a button and being able to fast travel, I want Witcher style fast travel, where I have to go to the location physically, and then from a signpost, or in the case that I'm trying to explain, a map, base of operations, your house, I can fast travel to a location I've been to, but not to a location I haven't been to.
In the original Fable, they had the color skate system. So you had the guild seal. You had to reach a color skate to unlock it, but you could only teleport 2 color skates that existed in the area. You could travel back to the previous region that you were in, but it would put you at the entrance of the region and reset the region, so all the enemies would be back. So you could leave and come back, but it would be no progress.
But yes, I'm excited to see where we're going with this, and I think we're getting closer to information and things being announced for it. Now, in terms of Avowed, what are you expecting from Avowed? Because the trailer that we got for Avowed literally gave me shivers. Like it was like somebody took Skyrim and just gone, make it next gen. It looked so much like Skyrim, it hurt. The magic in one hand, the sword in the other hand, in first person. Some creature coming through with his shadow cast on a wall, and you could just see its shadow getting closer and closer, like it in a dank, dark, cavernous cave. But it's obviously being, I think it's more Knights of the Round Table sort of situation than high fantasy.
Yeah. I think to be a good fantasy game, you've got to be able to stand on your own merit, rather than like when people describe like a fantasy game by using another fantasy games for it, then but if it can stand up on its own and be a damn good adventure, like the adventure is what I'm interested in.
It's the only thing that made me think that it looked like Skyrim is the physical, like it looked like Skyrim. In the same way that I think, what's it called? Xbox game. Well, it wasn't an Xbox game. It is now. It's actually made by Obsidian. The last game they had out.
That would be the Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds looks like Fallout. Like, there's no two ways about it. The Outer Worlds looks like Fallout. But they're completely different. And I expect the same here. This looks like Skyrim, but I expect it to be completely different.
Yeah. I'd like something with replay value.
Right.
It's definitely replay value. Yeah. Like choices, paths of progression. Things where like quests where the things are not necessarily marked, but somebody says something, you look into it, you find out another angle, you get a different reward, you get a different outcome. maybe being too inquisitive is bad, and it preemptively ends the quest. Do some interesting things like that. They did it before. It's in like KOTOR and
Mm.
KOTOR 2 and Fallout 2 and things like that. They're really, really good with world building, storytelling, and things like that. Branching paths. That's the kind of thing that I want.
Excellent. I agree with all of that. My only thing that I would add is I want it to be where the Outer Worlds I felt was a very short game for the type of game that it is.
Yeah, well, sure.
I want this to be expansive and longer, like a 50-hour campaign with sprawling side missions that make it to like 80 or 100-hour game. Like, give me something meaty that I can jump in and be lost, and I'll be happy. Now, switching gears to Bethesda, still part of the Xbox situation. What do you feel, or what would you want to see from Starfield?
Starfield.
Because the rumor is that they are going to out Mass Effect.
I just want generally kind of more information about it. Like, let me in on this universe a little bit. Give me the incentive, the seed. Show me what you got.
Yeah, the rumor is world hopping, universe leaping, open world, open universe, storytelling, Bethesda style. Apparently, the rumor is the core of the game is out Mass Effect and Mass Effect. That is their mantra, so to speak. They are trying to make this spacefaring oddity that is going to be better than Mass Effect. And after just recently playing Mass Effect 1, give me all your goods. Like, I'm ready for that.
Yeah. The trouble is when you say to me, Bethesda space, things like that, like, my brain goes, okay, how does the fast travel work? Like, how does the travel work? Do we have 3 different maps? The super local area map, the world map, and then the system map, or maybe it's universe map, however they want to do it? Or is it like how are they doing that thing? Because the easiest way to do like the travel and stuff is there's the map, there's a point, click the button, boop, load screen, comes up, we're at that place now, let's go. You know?
I don't necessarily think you need fast travel. Mass Effect doesn't
Travel
have
is
fast
going to
travel.
be part of this. Yes and no.
I mean, it doesn't, though.
Well, it does in the sense of you click the button, the cutscene plays, Joker goes to the real, you go, whoom, and you're at the new location. You walk out of your ship.
Yeah, in terms of that, yeah, but you can't, like, jump from one... Well, I suppose you can jump from one side of the Citadel to
beyond the frontier.
I don't think they're doing it. I don't think they're doing it that way. I think what you're going to get is more of a cross between Mass Effect and No Man's Sky.
I just don't know how their engine's capable of that.
I think what you're going to get, well, that's the thing. They've built from the ground up a new engine for it, haven't they?
I'll be interested, and I'll be definitely interested in the modding scene as well. The mods is going to be the lifeblood of the whole situation.
From what I can gather, it's a cross between the two. And the only way that works in my head is that every planet that they have available in the system is visitable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's No Man's Sky in terms of you can literally take off from one planet, fly to another, and land. And that's where the similarities with No Man's Sky ends. In my opinion, that's where it needs to end, because No Man's Sky is so vast and ridiculous that You couldn't do that in this type of game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to limit yourself to, like, I don't know, 15 planets across different, say, 3 different star systems.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there is a Joker-style warp speed load that goes from system to system. But in each system, you can fly from one planet to another, landing, procedurally generated and all of that. That sounds like it could be cool. But then it could also be like the other Bethesda game, Prey, where you're just in one planet and its only relation to being spacey is the fact that it's not Earth. You know what I mean? It could be a space game that is literally Skyrim, but now you're on a different planet. It's not Earth.
Yeah. That wouldn't necessarily be bad. I don't think there's going to be much procedural generation, to be perfectly honest. It's kind of not the way that Bethesda tends to work. They tend to go in, believe it or not, they do a lot of hand placing of stuff, despite how jank sometimes it does seem. Like Bethesda always seems to have that personal touch.
I think Bethesda understand and realize that their games would do so much better if they just upgraded their fucking engine. Like, if Bethesda just took a non-proprietary engine, like CryEngine, or like Frostbite, or like UE4 or 5 or whatever, and just made games with a non-proprietary engine, their games would literally, critically, probably jump up a point or two in most people's eyes.
How do they license modding tools for that?
I mean, there'll be ways
we ship our game with CryEngine editing tools. Yeah, that's going to go down like a treat. So they would completely axe themselves on the whole mod scene.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it. I personally don't think that this Starfield's going to have... It's not going to as heavily lean into mods, I don't think.
I think mods are going to become the lifeblood of it, just like most Elder Scrolls games. People adding new weapons, armors, building new planet spaces, that kind of thing. Like all the crazy massive expansion stuff that goes on with all the other Bethesda titles. And I think with a community like that, the game could last for 5-7 years just from the flux of the modding community.
I think it comes down to, well, it all depends on what Microsoft decide they want from them. Ultimately, because Microsoft's never really gone down this modern route before. And I know Microsoft don't want, or probably won't want them, and I don't think it's a waste of time, but from a visual perspective, you could be seen that way. I don't think they'd want them wasting their time building modern tools into games when they could be building games.
The thing is they usually ship a slightly stripped down version of the tool that they use to build it with the game.
Right. Like I say, I don't know how it's gonna play out, but I'm excited for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what it is, because there's so many things up in the air with that particular game. Is it a No Man's Sky Mass Effect crossover? Is it just Elder Scrolls, but now it's themed spacey? Is it a case of it's one location, and you are just on this location, but it's vast and you can do crazy shit? Or is it like multiple planets, multiple locations? Like we know so little about it. And the leaked shots that have come out for it are... They're shots of really particular areas. I think they've specifically been taken to be leaked, to be quite honest. Because there's no shot that has been leaked that is like graphically groundbreaking or showing off anything of any significance. It's like a beige wall with a character stood in front of it. And it's like, that seems too set up. In my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, that's the Microsoft situation. And now, Sony. They're not turning up. So, now let's get to... Sony situation. Currently not announced anything officially. I personally think that they're going to announce something in July. They're going to let this all blow over these next couple of days, see where everyone stands, and then sneak a thing in beginning to mid-July before a year kick off. And I think that's when that's going to happen. Now, Sony are the only company that actually, in my opinion, need to show stuff. Because like I say, we've got Horizon, we've got God of War, which we still haven't seen, and that's it. 25 games in development. Let's say 24 if you take Ratchet out of the equation. We know Gran Turismo, Horizon, and what's its face? That leaves 21. There's 21 games in development. You'd think that they might want to just drop a little Uncharted logo or a little Siphon Filter logo or a little whatever. Something just to give us a little, like, that machine that's really difficult to get, you know, that one that you're trying your hardest to pull all your hard-earned money to buy. It's on its way. There's a reason to go and pick one up and be ready. They haven't even bothered doing that. So I don't know. How do you feel about Sony being so quiet and not turning up and...
I think that they are either playing the cleverest move possible or the dumbest one.
I agree.
They are either waiting for all of the waters to settle and they're going to go, ladies and gentlemen, we have fixed your PS5 supply issue and bam, 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 just for you.
Yeah.
Consoles with games. Whoosh, out the door. This game, that game. Special edition Kratos, PlayStation 5 with a God of War logo on it. The Horizon one, which has like orange stripes and stuff across it. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think that's possible. It's a very Sony move to do themed consoles with big game releases.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's either the cleverest move that you could possibly imagine or the stupidest move they could possibly imagine. Because whichever way you look at it, they are giving all of the mind share to every other company at the minute. Yeah, we've seen Horizon. Excellent. No release date. As of yet. We know it's this year, and that'll come, but no release date as of yet. So I don't know with Sony. Sony's a really weird one, and there are games out there that I'd love to see from Sony. Like, I think they could, if it's true, they could put a show together that could literally blow away any show that any other company could potentially do. Could you imagine a show? Set the scene, right? You're sitting in your chair, Richard, right, with your Pringles. I'm sitting in my chair,
They're over there,
right, with me Ben & Jerry's, because that's my go-to E3 treat. I mean, I shouldn't as a diabetic. I eat one Ben & Jerry's per show. Bear in mind, there's the Xbox show, the Ubisoft show, the PlayStation show, the EA show. I mean, I eat a lot of Ben & Jerry's over E3. I'm not this big for nothing. Anyhow, sitting in your Pringles, got Ben & Jerry's, right? And it's like, PlayStation.
PlayStation.
Horizon. Excellent. Oh, that game looks amazing. Brilliant. God of War. Oh my god, God of War looks amazing. We knew it was coming, but it looks class. Gran Turismo. It's like, fucking hell, them cars look real. This looks amazing. The ray tracing, like, wow, this is the best looking Gran Turismo they've ever made. And then out of nowhere, What's that? Spider-Man 2 is in development. What's that? Siphon Filter reboot is in development. Another Uncharted is in development. And then, all of a sudden, you hear, Snake! They've only gone and rebooted fucking Metal Gear Solid. Like, they have the potential. The rumor is that they are working with Bluepoint, the people that did Demon Souls, on rebooting Metal Gear. We know there's a Spider-Man 2 coming. That is just straight up fact at this point. Them two games haven't sold what they've sold for them to not make a fully fledged sequel. Siphon Filter is what I actually think Bend are working on. I think their second game is going back to a fully fledged Siphon Filter. They said new IP, but that new IP could be a reboot of Siphon Filter. There is a potential there, and there is games in their history, like they could have the Ghosts of Tsushima team doing the same thing, like a multi-game situation. They could be rebooting Infamous this time around, while the second half of the team are working on Ghosts of Tsushima 2. Or there could be a Ghosts of Tsushima 2 teaser. Or they could, like, Sony have shit, do you know what I mean? And the IPs hold prestige. So there is shit that, like Bloodborne 2. If Bloodborne 2 ever happens, it's a Sony game.
Yes.
So it only comes on a PlayStation and potentially PC at some point. And Sony aren't stupid. They know everybody wants Bloodborne on PC. They're just making you wait. It will come though, and what's going to happen is it'll come on PC, and the same time it comes on PC, the PlayStation 5 will finally get its 60 frames a second patch. Is my other prediction. But yes, Sony have the potential to literally wipe the floor with everyone else at E3 if they want to. And if they have assets and the availability of assets to show this stuff off. But the way Sony like to work is, Sony don't like to do Spider-Man is in development. This is happening. They've done it once or twice over the years, Spider-Man being one of them, actually. But at least they had something in-engine, in-game to show at the same time. Sony like to show you stuff, generally. Like, that God of War tease is the other time that they've went, oh, God of War's happening. And then we've literally seen nothing since. I wouldn't be shocked if some Sony stuff shows up. But I wouldn't be shocked if nothing shows up from Sony. Because like I say, Sony are in a position where they don't need to do anything. It would be nice if they did. And give us a reason to be excited for spending the amount of money that we've spent. And give reason for people that haven't got machines to buy machines. But we'll see. Like I say, Sony isn't there in any official capacity at the moment. Other than Summer Game Fest does list that Sony is part of it. So that could be like a teaser trailer for God of War, or a teaser for something, you know what I mean? Coming, Spider-Man, whatever. But we'll see. Right. This is the hardest and most convoluted part of the video. This is where we open the floor to all of the third party. And I've got to get in there straight away. I want Saints Row 5, and I don't care. I want Saints Row 5. Koch Media, which if you go back and watch our news video from this week, I mentioned Koch Media and how I think they've got something big to show. And we already know for a stone cold fact, because the team have come out and said, Volition themselves have come out and said, we're making Saints Row 5. This was years ago. It has got to be close now to time to be like, here it is. And it kind of makes sense when they've been re-releasing Saints Row 3 on PlayStation 4. And then they decided to go, well, why don't we re-release the re-release? and re-release the re-release on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, which don't really add that much to it because it already bumped it up to 60 frames and did all this craziness. It's just now more 60 frames and more craziness at actual 4K. But yes, I'm very excited because I do feel like this is the time to bring Saints Row 5 out, and it's going to scratch that itch and keep me going until the next GTA gets announced. I also need to see, not want, not would like, fucking need to see actual section of Final Fantasy 16. I need to see a cutscene that leads into gameplay, that leads into cutscene that I can go, right, that's what it's like. I also need to see Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, just a teaser. Just a tone piece will do. Something. That's got to be there. In a big way. Them two Final Fantasy things. Now, not Crystal Dynamics. Eidos Montreal. Eidos Montreal have a game to show off. It's actually listed as part of the Square Enix thing as a big reveal of Eidos Montreal. Last game they brought out was Deus Ex Mankind Divided, if I'm not mistaken. Could it be another Deus Ex? Because Deus Ex, the one thing I think Deus Ex has been missing is it's always been pushing the boundaries because of its cyberpunk nature and its things. And now that we've got the technology in the Series X and the PlayStation 5, they could really go to town visually in a game like Deus Ex and really bring something special to the front. I don't know. Could it be something brand new? I don't know. But it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. I have no fucking idea what Capcom could be bringing. Like, I genuinely, when I say Capcom, I instantly think fighting game or Resident Evil. I genuinely can't think of any other franchises that they've got. Devil May Cry?
Yeah, they've got that, haven't they?
Is Devil May Cry Capcom?
Do you know what, you're making me question now? I'd have to try and look it up.
I know Ninja Theory did a Devil May Cry, but I'm pretty confident Capcom do Devil May Cry. I don't know. Anyhow, Capcom should have something to show. Who else? Sega. Sega is supposed to be here. Sega is supposed to be showing stuff. Now, they've shown Judgment and announced it. All I need now is them to just give me the title. I don't need to see gameplay. I don't need to see characters. Just confirm that it's still Ichiban. I need Yakuza 8 or whatever the next entry is to be a real thing that's coming. Because right now, I have no Yakuza games to actually look forward to. And I need one. Especially since we've started this Yakuza playthrough and we're really knuckling down now and we're getting into the nitty gritty. You're starting to learn who these characters are and everything about them. And it's going to get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm jonesing for some Yakuza now. We need to know where this story goes because it's a roller coaster of a story. Other Sega games, obviously we might see some more about this next gen Sonic that's coming. Some bits and bobs of that nature. Ubisoft, I think, hopefully will show off. Not that I'm a big fan of the franchise, to be honest with you, because I'm really not. But I think they might finally get down to some Splinter Cell.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see The Crew 3 get announced. Or a brand new IP. I would also love from Ubisoft a release date for Beyond Good and Evil 2. I can't even think of any other third parties. Oh, Take-Two's there. I would love to see the announcement of another Mafia game. Because I actually really, really liked the last one.
3.
Yes. It has its problems. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It has got its problems. But I thought Mafia 3 was a really decent game. And I think what they did with the remaster of the original Mafia leads me to believe that the love and care that Hangar 13 have for that franchise, Mafia 4 would be absolutely fucking brilliant. And they've proven that they can take the Mafia games out of the 30s, 40s, and 50s and bring it into the 70s. So why can't we have some sort of Mafia game in the 80s or in the 90s even, 2000s? I mean, you could there's still Italian Mafia kicking about, like American Italian Mafia kicking about in like the Sopranos times and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's not as prolific as it was in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, but it's still something that was going on, and you could show the evolution of how they've changed, and you'd have more modern cars, you'd have more modern weaponry. I'm telling you, there's a good Mafia game to come from them in Mafia 4, done correctly. And I mean, even if they want to stick back to the 40s and 50s and do another one in that time period, using a different family in a different location, I'd take it. I'd definitely be taking another Mafia. I'd love to get some sort of surprise sort of side game from Rockstar that nobody's expecting, like a sequel to Bully or a sequel to L.A. Noire. You know, something that's not high profile Rockstar, but is just something that like a small group of them could have brought out. That would be cool to see. I'm trying to think what else Take-Two do. I expect something like an XCOM or something like that will probably get announced. But yeah, there's as far as the big stuff goes, I think that's where I'm at with some of the third party. To be honest, of course, EA. EA. Right. I know you're not watching, but just in case. Knights of the Old Republic. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Reboot, whatever you want to call it. We know what's happening. Do not fuck it up. That's the end of my request. Do not fuck it up. Like, I need that game so bad that my balls hurt every time I think about it. Like, that game needs to be good and it needs to come out. Not only that, but I need to see Dragon Age. At E3's event on the 22nd of July, I need a deep dive into this new Dragon Age. One, because I think it looks graphically gorgeous, and I want to see more of what it looks like. They've always been graphical powerhouses, these games, and pushing the boundaries. Inquisition was incredible when you went into the desert. The desert level looked photorealistic at the time. I mean, you go back and look now and it doesn't, but at the time, it was like, wow, how the hell are they pushing this? So, and even like Anthem and stuff, like they always make beautiful looking games. So I want to see more of this beautiful world. But I also want to be given more information. Are we following Solus's story from the DLC? Because if we are, I'll put the work in. I'll buy the DLC, I'll go through the game for the channel, I'll play the DLC, and I'll be ready. I would appreciate a release date as well, and I do feel like it might be this holiday. I do feel that EA are finally going to pull the, here's the game, it's out in 6 months. Because they've held them cards so close to their chest since 2016. It's now 2021. It's time. It is very much time. And I also want And this is a big ask, and probably's in no way, shape, or fucking form gonna happen. But I want a continuation of the Mass Effect teaser. And I just want confirmation. Even if it's just a voice actor speaking. I just want confirmation that it's Shepard. I honestly don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Mass Effect Kiss Me Ass. I don't give a shit. Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect Kiss Me Ass, Mass Effect I don't give a monkeys. If I hear the voice, and it's Shepard's voice, and it's just a tiny little confirmation that, yeah, Shepard's alive. Shepard's there. In any capacity, even if it's not the playable character. Then all of my faith is instantly restored. Because again, this is another games company that brought out a game that wasn't necessarily what people wanted in Andromeda, that was broken, then they repaired it, and it's actually a decent game. But then they've brought out the collection, the Legendary Edition, that shows so much love and care and attention to Mass Effect. That I know that when you give that team the new Mass Effect, we're getting a Mass Effect of the quality of the trilogy. Not of the quality of Andromeda, of the quality of the trilogy. And that fucking excites me, because that means that two of the biggest game companies on the planet, in BioWare and in Bethesda, done fucked it up, but then redeemed themselves. And that's what it's about. That's why Cyberpunk will be fine. It's just going to take time. Time that people were really pissed off about and don't want to wait. But in time, it'll be right. So yes, I want to say just an extension to the teaser for Mass Effect that possibly links us to Shepard. I need to see gameplay at this point, Dragon Age. If you keep holding out on the Dragon Age, I'm starting to lose interest, to be quite honest. It's now time. 100%, there's an actual event. They're showing Battlefield 6, I think they're up to. What else could EA be bringing? Is there any other big EA games? To be honest with you, I hope EA brings something akin of Mercenaries, or what was the other one where you were the two soldiers? Army of Two. Yeah. Something akin to Army of Two or Mercenaries. You know, that level of game. I want them to bring something back. Like, I tell you what I would love to see, and I don't know if THQ are there in any capacity. I know THQ are back with THQ Nordic and whatnot, and I don't actually know who owns the rights to the game anymore. But I'd love, because we are now very much technology-wise in the realms of being able to do this massively better. I would love to see another Red Faction. Doesn't have to be first person. Could still be the third person types. Either or. They were both good. There was a good third person one. I can't remember which one it was. Guerrilla. I'm thinking it was Guerrilla. It wasn't Armageddon. Armageddon was shite. And then the original Red Faction, which was fantastic, where you know everyone just used a rocket launcher and just blew holes in the rooms. But I don't know who owns the rights to it these days. I don't know if it's still THQ or what, but
I think it's THQ Nordic.
I'd love to see that come back. That could be a good franchise to come back. And I know what Capcom could bring. If Capcom brought this game to this E3, it'd be the biggest E3 Capcom's had in years. Dino Crisis reboot.
Absolutely. Money down. Bam.
Everybody wants a Dino Crisis reboot.
Yep. What they did to Resident Evil 2, do that to Dino Crisis. Come on. You teased it on April. You teased it on April 1st. You absolute little gits. You gave us that teaser trailer that was clearly an April Fool's joke, and then you admitted it was an April Fool's joke. We were all hyped and everything. I want Dino Crisis. But don't do Dino Crisis 2. Just the original.
And not only would that be good for Capcom, kind of leans into the other game that I want to come back. Turok.
Turok!
I'd love for them to bring Turok back. They tried to bring Duke Nukem back with Duke Nukem Forever, and it was partial success, I would say.
Unfortunately, it was stained with the grease that is Randy.
Pitchford.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's greasy.
See, I don't mind Randy Pitchford, but I'm a huge Borderlands guy, so
when it comes to Duke,
God,
we can do a video on Duke.
But I'd love for a Turok to come back, or some Turok style game. Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of games from the past that they could reboot and bring back into the fold and make them fresh and new for everybody. I'm loving the fact that Time Splitters is getting another game. I'm loving the fact that we've got all of these things going on. Like, the third party side of it is going to be epic. Like, the third party releases this E3 should be brilliant. There's going to be shit tons. It's going to be amazing. What's your bit of a rant there? What was your third party outlook? What's your hopes, your dreams? What do you want to see? And what do you want from the games that you do see? Because there's games that you know you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're seeing Final Fantasy 16. That's happening.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 16, of course. I would like Elden Ring. I want the gameplay, but I don't.
What do you want? What do you want Elden Ring to be, though? Do you want Elden Ring to be Dark Souls? Do you want it to be Bloodborne? Do you want it to be Sekiro?
I mean, that's the same. They're all the same category.
They're all different, though.
No, they all fall under the Seki. What is it? Seki Soulsborne category.
No, 100%, and Elden Ring will fall into that category, 100%.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, from just somebody that's not played but looks at these games, they are all vastly different. Sekiro feels like Tenchu, looks like Tenchu, looks smooth.
I agree.
And crazy style of gameplay. Bloodborne looks methodical, but faster and more fluid than Demon Souls. Demon Souls looks slow and clunky. That's what I'm saying. What style of FromSoft do you want? Or do you want an amalgamation of them all?
Depending on how it goes, kind of a mix between the various different styles. Basically, what I'm looking for is I want all of the brutality, darkness that is George R.R. Martin and his Game of Thrones. I want all of that evil combined with all of the evil of FromSoft, and I want them to combine together to be the most brutal, evil, destructive force that has ever been combined into a video game. I want people to break their PlayStation 5 controllers and punch holes in their Xboxes because of this game.
I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I want, if you're wearing armor, I want you to be heavy. I want you to just feel like, boom. You know, if you're not and you're light, I want to feel light and swift and to do the dodges and all of that. If there's magic, I want it to feel powerful but not overpowered. Yeah.
You will. I feel like you're definitely gonna get your Elden Ring. Definitely.
I want Namco to talk about Code Vein 2.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
You know,
I
even
know
if
you
they're
really
using the
enjoyed
same
Code Vein
engine.
1, didn't you?
Yeah, even if they're using the same engine and assets and things like that,
Mhm.
a sequel to that game, which it was set up for one at the end of the credits, depending on the ending that you got, it
Mhm.
was 100% set up for one. I'd love a continuation of that. That would be fantastic.
Any others? Any other games that you can think of, third party wise, that
God,
excite
I'm
you?
trying to think. Dragon Age, more Dragon Age.
Mhm.
I 100% for no doubt in my mind, 100% to me as a fan of Dragon Age, and from what I know of the new Dragon Age, it 100% continues from Trespasser.
Right.
100% in my mind at the moment. There is no doubt of it. I think they say that you don't need to play Trespasser because of Dragon Age Keep, where you can play the cinematic and it will tell you, Varric will tell you the story of what's happened. The Inquisitor went on and fought against that crazy elven apostate, blah, 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 all of that
Mhm.
sort of stuff. And I think that's why they say it wasn't necessary. But from the tease and everything, then my mind tells me that. And Trespasser is very essential in my, like, just what happens in that DLC. But yes, some confirmation about that would be handy. More information on that, of course, always welcome. Mass Effect, in my mind, based off how old Liara looks, I don't see how Shepard could be alive unless it's a clone.
But it looked like Joker and everybody was in the background.
But Liara looked really, really, really old.
Yeah, but that could just be the new graphics engine showing more detail, and
But
she's not
she
that
only
much older.
said, yeah, but she said that she was only like 100 and what was it? She was like 160 something.
106.
Sorry,
It
live into the thousands.
was 106 in the first game.
Yeah, she's 106. Yeah, sorry, live into the thousands. So in the terms of her own race, she's still young, very
Yeah,
young.
but we don't know what she's supposed to look like, so there is potential still.
All I'm saying is she looked old for a reason.
And there can't have been that much time pass.
Or no, that's cheeky. Putting
Because
the original
you've got to
crew in
think,
cryo sleep, and she's the only one who has to stay out because she's the
it's
only
not.
one who can live
It's
long
well,
enough.
that could happen, but you've also got to look at it from the point of view of she's walking up the mountain and it's covered in snow, but it's not that much snow, which would suggest that wherever Shepard crashed or wherever that N7 armor has landed, it hasn't been there that long. Long enough to be covered in snow, but not long enough to be like covered in snow, if that makes sense. So there are parts of that trailer that show, oh, time has passed. There's parts of that trailer that show not much time has passed. But then there are parts of that trailer that show quite a bit of time might have passed. So it's all over the shop. I think it was just put together in such a way to make you talk. I think when you
Yeah,
get the actual
yeah.
thing, that it's going to be that, not many years have passed. What about Sega? Is Sega doing any games that you're interested in? Or
The new Sonic, I might take a look at it.
I
I'm
forgot
always
about
wary of.
Persona actually. A Persona 6 would be great, but I know
Yeah.
how they do Persona. They screw the balls out of them before they bring a new one, and they've only screwed 2 balls out of the current one, so there's
Hmm.
more balls to be screwed.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
God, my brain just keeps on frazzling with the amount of names of various things.
KOTOR.
Yeah, KOTOR. If there is going to be a KOTOR, I would be interested very much. I wouldn't mind a story that's separate to the original Revan Malik Exile saga.
Oh yeah, if they're going to do it, reboot it and just do your own story.
It doesn't necessarily need to be rebooted. They could leave all of that intact as events that have happened, but just have a new protagonist that does his own thing in that existing universe, which I think is definitely a route. So it wouldn't need to be like a 2 or a 3 in that sense, because it would be its own thing. Maybe's Knights of the Old Republic, a prefix at the bottom. Yeah, they've got the whole with the Mandalorian's TV show thing. I mean, Mandalorian's a huge part of the Old Republic as well. That could be a cool angle to go from. KOTOR, when necessarily you're not the Jedi, might be cool.
Oh, hell no! The whole reason I want KOTOR is I want to fucking force choke some cunt and get a bit of slicing. Incidentally, another EA game that I think might be getting announced or might be on the marks is a sequel to Fallen Order.
Yeah, it did really well. I played Fallen Order all the way through. I enjoyed it. It was good. It was definitely set up for more to come. I'd like to see where those characters go.
2K? Any 2K games that you play or that you want to see?
Oh God, I cannot remember what games 2K even puts out this day and age.
No, they cannot. All I know is Mafia.
Yeah. More Mafia would be fine, but I think they need to stick to old school Mafia.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love old school Mafia. Old school Mafia is my favourite.
Yeah, Ubisoft stuff. I would like to see, now whether they choose to do it as a Ghost Recon or a Rainbow Six, that is up to them, but I would like to see a return to the tactical squad-based military shooting.
Or like Vegas and Vegas 2.
Like Advanced Warfighter and all of that as well, yeah. Like, open flashbang on Zulu, like all of that sort of stuff.
Where they used to have the thing on the microphones and you could be like, squad, move forward. You just felt like a military guy because all the headset commands worked in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like,
to be honest with you, my biggest concern when they announced Rainbow Six Siege was, Rainbow Six Vegas and Rainbow Six Vegas 2 were my favourite games because they had that story mode, which was class anyway. But then the multiplayer in them was fucking phenomenal because it was the tactical up against a wall. See a guy pop out, boom, 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 back into cover, putting traps down, doing all the thing. But then it became just that. And it became just that at a really crazy, like, it's our class, that game, multiplayer online, that's the Demon Souls of online gaming, like, it's ridiculous, it's stupidly hard. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be in that world and in that game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to just even partake at this point. But yes, I'm a huge fan of Ghost Recon, and I really love Ghost Recon Wildlands, the first one. Am I right? Yeah, Wildlands was a great game. Breakpoint, the newest one, not a good game. Not a good game. I
was a big fan of GRAW, Advanced Warfighter.
GRAW is the best. 2. This is the thing. I think that was their peak. GRAW and Vegas, respectively, in the thingies, were around the same time, and they were both the height of them franchises for me.
The trouble with Ghost Recon, I think, is what they've done is they've, instead of it being a tactical military shooter kind of thing where you're like Captain Mitchell or whatever and you're doing your thing, it's changed to be kind of a more less military story and more of a personal story of like the mission's gone awry. You have to think for yourself. You need to do this thing. You're undercover. You're covert. You're doing this black ops in this situation, instead of like official frontline fighting. Like, we need you to go in there and take out the enemy AA, and you go in, you take out the enemy AA, and then they're able to like roll up, and it's all like, we got our goddamn Abrams on a pinch on this bridge. We need you to take out the enemy anti-air in this location. Make your way through the hotel complex, and you're all like, sir, yes, sir. And it's all like tactical as hell, going through the whole situation. Whereas in the new ones, it's like, oh, there's this mean SOB who's a member of this cartel, like, situation. You go down, it's just street thugs and they're doing their thing, and it's not.
more about liberating islands than it is about actually being a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
A tactical soldier that is used for specific military operations.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the ghosts were. There was a specific unit used for tactical advantage in military operations, and it became, we're the ghosts. We're going to liberate this island.
Yeah.
And it's like, not for me.
Yeah, it got like weird, like CIA spooks involved in there. It was like, no, give me like a general or something.
a Rayman? I think a Rayman could be a good game to bring back.
Yeah, Rayman was a pretty damn good platformer of the time.
I'm trying to think what else
wouldn't be a
Ubisoft
bad
have.
shout. They've got Assassin's Creed. Do they have Myst, or did that go back to Scion Worlds?
Not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Scion has Myst or Ubisoft has Myst.
I don't think we get another Assassins.
Yeah, I think we need a break on that. Definitely.
Ubisoft's also said that they're stepping away from focusing on AAA games and focusing more on games as a service. Which I'm not overly keen on, to be quite honest.
I don't like games as a service. I don't like loot crates. I don't like 1,000 mini DLCs. I'm kind of an old school guy. I like it where my costume unlocks come from doing achievements and challenges inside of the game, not paying $1.99 for them or whatever. I don't want 20 DLCs. Give me an expansion pack that you've actually thought about that's good, Bethesda did that with like Fallout. You got 2 expansion packs. They call them DLCs, but they're basically expansion packs. You get more ammo, more map, more of what the base game was. You don't just like. To me, a DLC is like, oh, I've got this new gun, and it's just
that's the point, isn't it? It's the content. An expansion is making something larger, bigger, expanding on the story, expanding on the world. A DLC is just adding more content to what you already have. And they seem to have lost that sort of differentiator between them. Is there anything else that you want to see from Square? Maybe a Tomb Raider?
Well, they've got Endwalker at the moment. Tomb Raider would be... I don't know where they're going to take Tomb Raider at the moment. They finished up like the current iteration of Tomb Raider. It would be nice to see a Tomb Raider 2 anniversary. I think that would be cool. It's one of the better Tomb Raiders. Peak Tomb Raider for me, in fact. Like Venice and all that. Sweet levels. I'd like to know... I know that they are going to do another online Final Fantasy. 14 is coming to the close of its cycle. I just don't know which new Final Fantasy is going to be that one.
It'll be 17, I would assume.
Not necessarily. It might even be 18. They support these MMOs for like a long time, even after the final. Like 11 got a ridiculous amount of support. I still get emails about new mixed up content that they've thrown in.
I think it'll be 17. I think we'll get 16. Then next year we'll get Remake Part 2. Then the year after we'll get the talks about 17. So you're still talking 3 years.
Something Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my god, how did I not even think Kingdom Hearts? Could you imagine a new mainline Kingdom Hearts? I can't remember how Kingdom Hearts 3 finished because the storyline is so convoluted. As a matter of fact, I'll hold my hands up. I didn't finish Kingdom Hearts. I got to the end where Sora was in the cloud area and there was multiple things going on and it was all mental. But I just didn't finish it. I was like, I'm at the end. It's doing me tits in. There's another big game I need, and I haven't got any money. I need to trade this in to get the next one. And I was like, I'll just watch the ending, and I never got around to watching it, so I don't 100% know how it ends. Now, does it end on a cliffhanger? Does it end in such a way that it can be left for another game?
It ends in such a way.
I mean, at this point, if you haven't played it, you haven't played it. By all means,
okay.
Tell us.
Right. Spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 3. Ahoy! This is your single warning. Sora, Kairi he defeats Xehanort, right? And the Master comes out, and Xehanort decides to pass away with the Master, and Xehanort kind of becomes like a good guy kind of thing. Like he at the last minute changes kind of his tact. Kairi ends up getting taken, and Sora decides to use the Power of Awakening in order to get it back. But Mickey warns that the Power of Awakening isn't supposed to be used like that. And if he does that, he doesn't know what will happen. So Sora uses the Power of Awakening, brings Kairi back, and Sora is now gone. None of the others know where he is. None of the others have the Power of Awakening to be able to find him. They have to hope that he'll be able to bring himself back. Now, officially, the designers said that Kingdom Hearts 3 was the end of Sora's saga, Sora as the main protagonist. However, it was not the end necessarily of him as a character within the series. So you've still got all the other main characters, Kairi and all of them, all there. And Kairi herself went on to try and find Sora, and that's now her mission. So in the game, which isn't actually a spin-off, it's actually part of that's actually part of the story now, the Melody game, that's actually Kairi searching for Sora with the help of Sid, and looking at like the digitalized memories of Sora and that in order to like try and find him. So she's doing that. So there is potential for, a quest to try and find Sora. There is more room for more Kingdom Hearts. And there was a huge thing where the Master returned. And he had all of his buddies there, and he had the black box, and he was like, it's time to do this. And they were all in agreement. So there was a new force that was there just ready to boil over the whole situation.
So yes, there was a cliffhanger at the end of the game that allows us to partake in more Kingdom Hearts. Do you think if they did another Kingdom Hearts that Kairi would become main protagonist? Or do you think they'd bring somebody new in?
I think they might bring someone new in, but they kind of have set it up for you to be able to play as Kairi, but universally, this is a universal opinion, that's not necessarily my opinion, Kairi is freaking useless. So...
Yeah, but they could do it in such a way that she's been training with
Axel and all that.
Yeah, and she's now a bit of a badass.
Maybe.
I forgot the name of the bird with the blue hair.
Aqua.
Maybe you could just play as her.
Yeah, she is super cool, Aqua.
There was Terra as well. You could play as Terra, couldn't you?
Yeah, Aqua, Terra, Ventus, does that whole trio. It might just end up being an amalgamation game where literally it has different worlds that have different characters in. So you've got Axel stages, you've got Aqua stages, you've got Kairi stages, you've got stages with it's like Mickey, Goofy, Donald, and that kind of thing.
There's a lot more Disney IP for them to play with now, especially now that Disney own Star Wars and own Marvel.
Oh yeah, massive.
Could you imagine just
Massively.
turning up in a realistic looking New York as a cartoon Donald Duck and Goofy and have an Iron Man just appear in front of you? You'd be like, what the fuck? Oh my god, the potential. Could be awesome, like. Oh, they need to do that. Yeah, that could be. Oh god, announce that this E3. God damn it. But yes, that's your E3 predictions roundup and discussion from us. We'll be covering E3 as best we can throughout all of next week, into the weekend, and all the way through until whatever happens, all the way through until it's over. I think the last thing dated currently is July 22nd. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked what you've seen, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give us a thumbs down and sod off. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our E3 coverage next week. Bye bye.